Take a ride around the city.
The architecture of these churches is just amazing.
You see them every day.
I didn't know it was right here.
Landmarks that paint the Baltimore skyline.
Johns Hopkins.
Backdrops to our busy lives. But look again.
Like a princess is back there.
You may not have noticed these windows of City Hall.
I think they're pretty.
About a century younger than the rest.
I never really thought about it much.
The carvings on the grounds of Johns Hopkins University.
Yeah, it's very well integrated.
A reflection of our own Chesapeake Bay.
Like, I carved that chunk of City Hall or whatever, and like, that's kind of neat. Nope.
And tucked away inside a South Baltimore studio.
Just making sure you're not in the line of fire if I do something crazy.
These hands hold the tools.
I really thought it wasn't gonna break. You okay?
That helped create them.
It resonates on a primal level with, I'm just still a little kid that wants to beat rocks together.
Between the sparks, the smoke, and the dust. From a young age, Sebastian Martirana found his passion in this. Moving from D.C. to Baltimore for grad school at the Maryland Institute College of Art, now
It's nice when things break the way you want them to.
he's been breaking things for a living for the last 2 decades. It's a craft that takes precision.
If you're carving a letter and something looks wrong, everybody knows it's wrong.
And in some cases, there's no room for mistakes.
The fact that it's stone, it's both strong and fragile. There's no control Z, there's no undo. If something hits the floor, it's done.
But when done correctly, his messages can live on.
He's working with something that literally took millions of years to create in a tradition that dates back, more than thousands of years.
Brian Miller, owner of Catalyst Contemporary in Baltimore,
3 towels
has
there.
been showcasing Martirana's work in their Baltimore gallery and as far away as Miami for the last 2 years.
It takes a tremendous amount of patience and foresight to move through that stone process. You can see that in every piece that he makes.
One of his favorite pieces, 7 words etched into an old printer's block. These were words that could not be used in certain federal documents at the time.
Here's a piece of history that was used to make prints, and he's implanting it with these words that are now memorialized. That concept matching technique, to me, was perfect. It was absolutely perfect.
From one piece to another.
That's kind of what I'm working on right now, is this attempt to freeze in stone this moment of unveiling.
It's here.
Kind of shown through the motion of fabric kind of blowing in the wind.
They're chiseled into shape.
Baltimore's like the best city in the East Coast for artists.
But he isn't just creating in our city. His work spans the East Coast. From the Grand Seal at the Federal Reserve in D.C. to carvings inside St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City and in between. We see a shining product. He sees the grind it took to get here.
The Grand Seal is now part of this unbelievable marble interior inside of this building behind these massive glass doors, but I remember it right here. And with me sitting in a pile of dust, carving details in the eagle toes.
So next time you're out,
Now that I'm looking at it over again, it's really pretty.
look up.
There is so much beauty in Baltimore.
Because these monuments
The fact that they constructed these buildings centuries ago and they're still standing.
will outlive you and me.
What is it going to look like in 500 years from now? Or what's it going to look like in 1,000 years from now when it's being, pulled out of the silt in the bottom of the ocean?
Our story being preserved
Work that, again, will survive fire and flood.
through a medium with memory.
What does it mean? Can it be deciphered? And what did we make mark of now?
Shannon Murray, Fox 45 News.
And just watching the waves what really brings me.
As the long days of summer wind down,
Being on the water.
you'll find few who disagree. This is the place to be.
Watch the boats go by.
And on board one boat, perhaps not what
Good marks, guys.
or who
All throughout, stacked up.
you'd expect. You might even do
A double take. Is that a boat full of girls?
Yep, 5 to be exact. That's Melody, Carly, Rachel, Kayla, and Jamie,
It's actually one of my favorite times to fish.
all with their reels, rods, and even
This is my jig head. When the fish pulls in and the bait comes up, it's called, he pulled my pants down.
it's inside jokes.
Girl, her snackle box is on point.
gherkins.
Them cheeses.
With a circle of friends
gherkins.
Those little pickles.
that for Melody spawned from a quest for independence.
I literally had a broken heart and a fishing rod. And I wanted to make fishing my own thing.
That was several years ago. Now,
I started fishing by myself. I became obsessed with it.
she's hooked. Meanwhile, for Kayla,
Since I was out of the womb,
this sport and this bay,
it's in my blood.
but no matter the years put in, there's a line that binds them.
We all have a love of fishing. We're all Maryland girls.
Now, together in the upper Chesapeake Bay,
We're fishing around this little shallow area here.
searching for the very fish as true to the state as them. And no,
Oh, Lord, that's not what we want.
it's not
It's a channel cat.
catfish.
For the news.
But hey, that's the unpredictability of the sport.
Or you can have a day. I call it getting skunked.
The intended species today, Maryland's own state fish.
Striped bass is the technical name, but we call them stripers. We call them rockfish.
So we're looking for the biggest, fattest, 24-inch and not a centimeter over fish.
Because this isn't just any Friday fishing trip. No, this is only preparation. Fast forward 1 week later.
Go, Uncle Phil!
To day 2 of the 6th annual Tiki Lee's Rockfish Open, put on by owner David Carey.
We are hosting what I believe is the largest striped bass tournament in the country.
And this year will be a first.
It's ladies stepping up into what has always been a man's world, fishing, rugged, dirty, man's world, supposedly the stereotype.
An all-ladies team, one of 50 competing for the more than $150,000 in tournament winnings, and they call themselves
We are the Brackish Babes.
named after the brackish back river they're in now. With 2 days to catch 5 of the heaviest 19 to 24-inch rockfish, and that means
It's 19.
making tough decisions.
I'm letting it go.
It also means, once again,
Yep, blue cat. Oh, hell yeah. Yes, girl.
reeling in the unexpected.
Oh my God.
Only this time, it could be a winner. Because there's another way to make money in this tournament.
Oh my gosh, it's the adrenaline rush.
Catch the biggest catfish.
The fight
Oh, that's a good one.
was awesome, and then getting him on the boat, it gets my heart pumping.
Rachel's trek to the scale,
Okay, I need a break.
also getting her heart pumping.
Well, that's a great catfish.
And catching the attention of just about everybody in her path.
It's a fatty.
I have never seen a fish that big. I was walking a dog, just herded in here, oh, okay, I got my catfish in here.
And they have no doubt.
She's gonna win, there's no way.
And winning sure would be sweet.
How big is it?
$6,800.
Wow.
So now,
Up next is the first and the only all women, all ladies fishing team.
it's time to find out.
First fish, ladies, they're not playing 24 inches.
This, one of 5 rockfish they're weighing in total, but where they're really coming to play, the Catfish Calcutta.
Hold on 1 second before we win this. What's leading it?
27.36.
The moment of truth?
27.36 is leading it. This fish weighs 26.05.
Falling short by just 1 pound.
Fishing, man. Yep, it happens.
Because these ladies will be the first to tell you
That's the game.
you won't always catch on your first cast. Or you might just catch the unexpected.
They are my best friends.
So they'll cast and reel
All females, no men. We did it.
again and again.
Get ready, because it's not going to be the last time you hear about us.
Shannon Lilly,
1, 2, 3. Brackish Babes!
Fox 45 News.
Along the water in Dundalk,
I found my home. I found the dream.
it's been far from business as usual at Anchor Bay East Marina.
So everything had to stop We had to contact all the customers.
It's hard to believe, but Alex Del Sordo purchased the place less than 2 weeks ago. Just 11 days before the Key Bridge collapse.
Just how is it possible that the biggest disaster in Baltimore happened a mile away from the biggest investment of my entire life?
Lucky for Del Sordo.
The first 2 days was just like you would think, chaos and so many moving parts.
All right, guys.
He's a glass half full kind of guy.
We made an announcement on our social media channels and on our website that this was going to be a home for people. 24-hour fueling, a place for them to rest, 50% off food.
And just like that,
how are you?
First responders started showing up.
Better today. I mean, we've had some really not nice weather the last couple days, but it's starting to blow in now.
For police, Coast Guard, divers, surveyors, and so many more.
You guys fueling up?
Anchor Bay has become, well, an anchor.
They're awesome.
For the community of helpers.
They've been coming in with open arms and extending their services out, staying up here 24/7 for the fuel, which has been very helpful for not just our company, but everybody involved.
From fuel to food.
First responders, we've had over 550 meals since last Tuesday.
To a place to do laundry and even lay their heads.
Coffee's been good. That's what we all have been needing. Everyone's working hard out here.
Del Sordo says it's been humbling to hear their stories.
One afternoon, I sat with the divers that found the truck with the two folks in it, and we had a chance to just be with them, almost very emotional. And then at the end, I sat right over here with those men, and they tore off their patch and gave it to me, thanking me for what they've done, and I almost cried.
And while he has no idea what tomorrow may hold,
how do we weather the storm? Because we know that the Chesapeake is going to be changed for a while, and right now we're kind of concerned, like, what's our business looking like for the next 2 or 3 years?
Del Sordo knows one thing for sure.
Whatever happens, I'm here for the long haul.
Anchor Bay will be there.
We're going to have to work with the agencies and see if we can utilize this space for service, for fueling, and hopefully for food for the folks that for the next 3 to 5 years will be building the bridge.
Putting others first as long as they can.
Oh, the appreciation is there, the gratitude is there. That doesn't necessarily keep me going. We don't need that, but it is really wonderful to have just someone say thank you, and it's obviously mutual for what they're doing.
John Bernard Williams has been on the run for nearly 3 years. Investigators say after serving a nearly decade-long sentence, he disappeared, and with a hefty IOU to the U.S. government. The United States court signs off on a warrant for the arrest of John Bernard Williams, the 65-year-old who had spent nearly a decade behind bars for an infamous cash truck heist in Maryland.
The suspect stole more than $200,000.
Had gone off the grid, his disappearance subsequently violating the terms of his supervised release. Fast forward nearly 3 years, Williams remains on the run.
John Bernard Williams is a fugitive wanted by the United States Marshal Service.
Deputy Marshal Al Maresca taking us back. June 13th, 2012, Rockville, Maryland, a city outside Washington, D.C. Investigators say the Navy Federal Credit Union is receiving a cash delivery. Couriers with the company Loomis begin unloading hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash from the armored truck when suddenly 2 gunmen appear. One of them, later identified by investigators as Williams, was 47 years old at the time.
During the armed robbery, one of the suspects brandished a semi-automatic pistol and demanded a bag full of cash.
Investigators say the couriers dropped the bag and run, leaving Williams and his co-conspirator with the bag full of cash. Williams is arrested the next month, and the following year, sentenced to 112 months in prison, followed by 3 years federal post-supervised release.
Williams accepted a plea offer and was sentenced to serve 9 years in prison.
Fast forward to 2021, Williams is out of prison, but investigators say fails to comply with the terms of his probation and has since failed to keep up with his monthly required payments for the money investigators say he stole, a $220,000 IOU.
As part of the plea agreement, he was ordered to pay $200,000 in restitution.
Williams has a criminal history that dates back to the mid-'80s. Court records show he was found guilty of assault and battery here in Maryland. A couple of years later, records show he racks up another conviction, this one for felony theft. Williams' criminal ways continued into the 90s with a 1992 arrest for transporting drugs across interstate lines and possession with the intent to manufacture and distribute charges. Then in 1993, records show Williams was found guilty of assault on a corrections employee. Williams, now years on the run.
Any idea where Williams may be?
Williams has family ties in Montgomery County area, but we're hoping one of your viewers sees him, recognizes him, and provides us with some information that can help take him into custody. With this type of criminal history, have shown a propensity to commit acts of violence, and for this reason, we need to get him off the street.
Now, the mugshot we've been showing you is more than a decade old, so keep that in mind. Take a good look. Williams stands at about 6 foot and weighs approximately 200 pounds. Investigators say he has a scar above his left eye and is known to have violent tendencies. His aliases include Ricky Hauser, Aaron Thomas, and Steve Carr. If you have any information regarding his whereabouts, you're asked to contact the U.S. Marshal Service. The tip line number, 202-819-5058.
I miss it a lot. I miss it a whole lot.
This empty lot is where just about everything Quentin Bell owned once stood.
This would have been the living room.
Now, Bell stands alone.
Then a closet, bathroom, and then a kitchen.
Paying a mortgage on a home that no longer exists.
You might think I'm joking, but I'm not.
Our cameras have followed along, capturing the collapse and changes to Bell's property, from a 3-story row home to a construction zone, to a patch of dirt, to a plot of weeds, to today's muddy mess.
It doesn't make sense.
More than a year has passed since a 115-year-old stone arch storm drain crumbled beneath the ground, causing a massive sinkhole, forcing the demolition of this entire row of homes.
This house was a 3-story house, and I'm not including the basement.
And yet, when it comes to compensation,
pretty big row home.
Bell still hasn't been provided a penny.
All this pain and suffering that me and my neighbors doing, they should pay us whatever our house worth and plus more.
Not from his insurance, who found the city's failing infrastructure at fault.
That moment right there was one of the crushing moments out of the whole thing.
And not from the city, who claimed residents should have given notice of the defect.
Which we couldn't do because, I can't see through the ground.
Out of options, Bell hiring a lawyer to sue the city, a lawsuit the city attempted to dismiss, then delay.
We get a trial date that was postponed.
Months later, the city refusing to hand over basic discovery, claiming simple requests, including records of the storm drain's needed repairs, all internal communication following the storm drain's collapse, and copies of the storm drain's inspection reports are unduly burdensome. This is a Fox 45 investigation revealing this century-old storm drain hadn't been inspected in over 2 decades.
They ain't do nothing. Just string us on, string us on, string us on.
And now, what should be a welcome surprise, only adding insult to injury.
It was just so low, it didn't even feel like an offer.
The city appraising Bell's home at $120,000 and offering to reimburse him $90,000 for his losses, far less than Bell was expecting.
My appraisal from my lawyer and the city appraisal is like this.
The appraisal from his lawyer claiming Bell's home was worth $315,000.
It's almost double what the city offered me. And it's just ridiculous.
Feeling abandoned, shortchanged, and strung along.
It don't compensate me at all.
Bell has just one question for the city.
How would they feel if they was in my shoes?
And one warning for fellow residents.
It could happen to anybody, and it could happen again.
Rebecca Pryor.
People should be worried. People should be worried.
Fox 45 News.